Your body is not a machine. It is a forge. Every mineral you swallow, every ray of light that touches your skin, every fat molecule that passes through your gut, your body takes these raw materials and transforms them into something the engineering world still cannot replicate. Bone that flexes before it breaks. Muscle fiber that repairs itself stronger after being torn. A biological armor built not from steel, but from chemistry. This is the story of how that happens, at the molecular level. Starting with 3 ingredients most people never think about. The first is iron, not the iron in your frying pan. Iron at the scale of individual atoms, distributed across your blood, your muscles, your brain, your cells. Iron is so fundamental to human biology that without it, your body cannot extract energy from the food you eat, cannot carry oxygen to your tissues, and cannot manufacture the proteins that hold you together. Here is how extraordinary the demand actually is. Your body contains roughly 3 to 4 grams of iron at any given time. That sounds like almost nothing. But consider what it is doing. Inside every red blood cell sits a protein called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is built around 4 iron atoms. Each of those iron atoms can grab 1 molecule of oxygen, hold it during transit through the bloodstream, and release it precisely where it is needed. Your body contains approximately 25 trillion red blood cells, each one loaded with hemoglobin. Each hemoglobin built around iron. The system moves roughly 1 liter of oxygen per minute through your body at rest. During intense exercise, that number multiplies 5 or 6 times. No iron, no hemoglobin, no hemoglobin, no oxygen delivery, no oxygen delivery, no movement, no thought, no life. But iron does something else, something that most biology textbooks skip over. Inside your muscle cells sits a different iron-containing protein called myoglobin. Where hemoglobin ferries oxygen through the blood, myoglobin holds a local reserve of oxygen directly inside the muscle tissue itself. Think of hemoglobin as a delivery truck and myoglobin as the on-site warehouse. When your muscles are working hard and the delivery system cannot keep up with demand, myoglobin releases its stored oxygen to bridge the gap. This is why the muscles of diving mammals, whales, seals, dolphins appear almost black when examined. They contain extraordinary concentrations of myoglobin. The animal does not need to breathe for 20, 40, 60 minutes because its muscle tissue is carrying its own oxygen supply. Your muscles use the same molecule, the same chemistry, scaled differently but fundamentally identical. Iron is also embedded in a class of proteins called cytochromes, components of the electron transport chain inside your mitochondria. This is the final stage of cellular respiration, where your cells generate the majority of their ATP. The cytochromes pass electrons down a chain of reactions like a molecular relay race, using that electron flow to pump protons and generate the electrochemical gradient that drives ATP synthesis. Without iron in those cytochromes, the chain stops. The cell cannot produce energy efficiently. Every mitochondrion in every cell of your body depends on iron to function. 3 grams of iron, doing all of this simultaneously. The second raw material is vitamin D, except calling it a vitamin is almost misleading. Once your body processes it, vitamin D functions more like a hormone, a master signal molecule that reaches into the nucleus of cells and directly regulates which genes get activated. It begins on your skin. When ultraviolet B radiation from sunlight strikes a compound in your skin called 7-dehydrocholesterol, a photochemical reaction converts it into a precursor molecule called cholecalciferol, vitamin D3. From there it travels to the liver, where an enzyme adds a hydroxyl group to produce 25-hydroxyvitamin D. Then it moves to the kidneys, where a second hydroxylation converts it to 1,25-dihydroxyvitamin D, calcitriol. This is the active form, and this is where the biology becomes remarkable. Calcium L-citriol enters cells and binds to a protein called the vitamin D receptor. That complex then travels to the nucleus and attaches to specific regions of DNA called vitamin D response elements. It directly switches genes on and off. Hundreds of genes across dozens of cell types respond to this signal. Genes involved in immune function, cell division, inflammation, and most critically for our purposes, calcium metabolism and bone formation. Without adequate vitamin D, your intestines cannot absorb calcium efficiently. You can eat as much calcium as you want. Without the signaling cascade that vitamin D activates, that calcium passes through you without being incorporated into bone. Rickets, the disease of severe vitamin D deficiency, causes bones so soft that they bend under the body's own weight. The skeleton essentially fails to mineralize. It does not become bone. It remains a softer, weaker structural approximation of bone. With adequate vitamin D, the opposite happens. Calcium is absorbed, transported, and deposited into the protein scaffold of bone, a scaffold made of collagen fibers produced by specialized cells called osteoblasts. The calcium, combined with phosphate, crystallizes into a mineral called hydroxyapatite, which fills and hardens the collagen framework. The result is a composite material, organic fibers giving flexibility, mineral crystals giving hardness, that is pound for pound stronger than reinforced concrete and more flexible than most metals. Your skeleton is not inert. It is constantly being broken down by cells called osteoclasts and rebuilt by osteoblasts, a process called bone remodeling. Vitamin D regulates this cycle. Without it, the balance shifts toward breakdown. Bones thin, density falls, the armor weakens. The third raw material is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, the long-chain forms found primarily in marine sources. And these work at a level of biological influence that is still being fully mapped. Your cell membranes are made of phospholipids, fat molecules arranged in a double layer that surrounds every cell in your body. The fatty acid composition of those membranes determines their fluidity, their flexibility, and their ability to function. Membranes high in omega-3 fatty acids are more fluid, more responsive, and better able to host the protein machinery embedded in them. In muscle cells, membrane fluidity affects how efficiently the cell responds to insulin, the hormone that signals glucose uptake. Better membrane composition means better insulin sensitivity, which means more efficient fueling of muscle tissue during and after exercise. But the deeper role of omega-3 fatty acids is in inflammation. When tissue is damaged, when muscle fibers are torn during exercise, when bone is stressed and remodeled, when any cell undergoes stress, the body mounts an inflammatory response. This is not a flaw. It is the signal that initiates repair. But inflammation that runs too long, too intensely, or without proper resolution causes chronic damage rather than chronic improvement. Omega-3 fatty acids are converted in the body to signaling molecules called resolvins and protectins. These molecules actively resolve inflammation. They are not anti-inflammatory in the sense of blocking the response, but pro-resolving in the sense of ending it cleanly and triggering the repair phase. They switch the cellular environment from breaking down to building up. In practice, this means that muscle tissue in a body with adequate omega-3 fatty acids recovers faster after training. Bone remodeling completes more cleanly. The chronic low-grade inflammation that slowly degrades tissue over years is held in check. 3 raw materials: iron, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids. None of them dramatic in the way we usually think about nutrition. None of them produce visible results within a day or a week. But together, across months and years, they determine whether your biology becomes a fortress or a structure slowly working against itself. The medieval alchemists believed they could transform base metals into gold through secret processes they never quite managed to discover. Your body does something they could not. It takes trace elements from soil, photons from sunlight, and fat molecules from the ocean floor, and builds from them something that has never been artificially replicated. Living bone, contracting muscle, a biological architecture that heals, adapts, and strengthens under pressure. Not gold. Something more useful than gold. The question is only whether you give the forge what it needs to work. If this video made you see your body differently, subscribe to learn more facts.